Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. I was having a conversation a couple of days ago with a friend and we got talking about components for success on the raw vegan lifestyle, but you could components for success on the high carb vegan lifestyle. And when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about the specifics like I was, a few days ago, or like you're specific, like, okay, here's a tip. Eat plenty in the morning, don't let yourself get hungry. I'm talking a little bit more bigger picture, kind of in general type things. And there's two key components that have been huge for my success on this lifestyle, probably the biggest of anything. And those two key components I see missing in a lot of the communities I'm jumping around in online. I just don't see them at all. And maybe that's maybe that's something that is holding some people back. It's a mentality that's holding people back. And what are those two things? Well, and you know what? I'm thinking about these two things, and maybe these are the kind of things that come with a little bit of age and wisdom. And it took me a long time. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I'm too terribly wise now, but if we keep circling the planet enough times, we pick up a few things. And the biggest thing for me is, and I started this actually a little bit before I started my raw vegan path, and getting into yoga or getting into any of the things that have kind of brought on the transformation that I've had in my life, and that was letting go of ego. Just not being so caught up in my pride, not being caught up in having to be right, not caught up in defending a position to the death, even if I'm in my head I've been convinced that it's not right. And then it's almost this, it kind of goes hand in hand, but it is a little bit different. The second component is having an open mind. It's like ever since I've started this journey, I've had no preconceived notions. I've had, I'm a seeker. I'm plain and simple, I'm a seeker. I'm like at the point I'm at right now, but that can change with the changing of my knowledge or changing of new information that I get. And I'm totally open to that. And then this is kind of where I think where one thing that prevents that or like stops that thought process in people is one thing I go back to over and over. It's the dogma. I think so many people, it's like maybe we want to feel like a community, maybe we want to feel like we're part of something, so people are joiners. But I just feel like, people get into their certain mindset, or they get into a certain group, or they get into a certain way of doing this lifestyle, and the shutters come down, and they're not open to learning anything else. In other words, like anything that even remotely challenges the tenets of their belief, of their particular religion, they don't want to hear it. And I see a rational argument sometimes. Listen, if I or if anybody else, if you say something wrong, argue with it. But can you relate to this? You've seen things before, or you've tried to tell somebody something, and do you get that feeling like nothing's penetrating, like they're so dogmatic and they have their ideas, and I'm like, this is the way I do it, and there's no other way, and I don't want to hear any other way. That's always like a key sign that something's not right. When you can't listen to something, when you can't even be open to new knowledge. And then that's why I say, some kind of all that kind of does tie into the ego, because, once we join a group, once we take up the mantle of that group, once we preach whatever the philosophy of that group is, that group becomes us. We become part of that group, and we identify with that group. And then that group is part of our ego. And I don't know, I'm not saying this as well as I wanted to say it, but in other words, like the ego in life, like back when I was a lot younger, would prevent me from being able to, I don't know what it is, and maybe this is a man thing more than it is a woman thing, but I remember, it was just so hard for me to admit I was wrong, and it was almost like who I was on the line. I was like less of a person, or I was less than if I, admitted that I was wrong, or, it was almost like it was showing weakness. So those have definitely been the two things the most, because, and maybe that's why I've flowed right down my path. Yeah, I mean, there's been things like my weight issue, like that was probably if I've had any problems, and I wouldn't even consider that really a problem, that was the biggest difficulty I had, was putting weight back on, but everything else has been pretty much smooth sailing on this lifestyle. And I think I have to attribute that largely to the process of having an open mind, being willing to admit I was wrong on something, to change my mind on something I was doing, and not have, not just like holding on to some doctrine or concept or some way of doing things just because, I don't know, for whatever reason. I guess what I'm getting at here is seek the truth, people. Seek the truth. Don't get sidelined. Don't get sidetracked, sidelined by anything else. Just seek the truth, wherever that may go. And, if you're not even open to trying some other things, and I'm talking to people, that are a little bit newer to this path, newer to this lifestyle, because once you've been in it for a while, yeah, you're not going to try like crazy things. But when you're in the beginning, you don't know. You're like, you don't know. You don't have all the information. You don't have all the knowledge yet. So just to take the information from one person, one group, one thought process is ludicrous. It's like, be open to the possibilities. Like I say, I've said in videos before, don't close your mind to these people because you don't like their personalities. Watch people that you disagree with. Figure out why you disagree with them. Do you disagree with them because you don't jive with them, you don't get along with their personality, or do you disagree with them because you disagree with the facts they're saying? In other words, like I mentioned before, we can learn something from everybody. Don't cut something off as a source of learning just because you don't like their personality or you don't like something superficial about them. So to finish this up, I don't have to beat this one to death. Just always have an open mind. Be ready to be wrong. There's nothing wrong. We're all wrong. Everybody's wrong. If we actually had to admit it, we're probably all wrong, like, 30, 40, 50 times a day on something or another. There's no shame in being wrong. We're all trying to get to a point, or I'm trying to get to a point, and I'm going to get there any way I can. I'm going to get there. I'm going to take information from anybody I can. I'm going to do whatever I can to get there, and I'm not going to let my ego get in the way. But maybe, like I say, that's an age thing, because once I started letting go of that ego, I just was able to be happier anyway. I didn't have so much of that macho shit going on. Got to be a man, got to be tough, got to do this and that. I realized I am a man. I am tough. I don't give a shit. I can sit here with a kitten. I can sit here and do anything that some like unsecure macho men might laugh at. So what? So what? I don't care. Your opinion of me has nothing to do with my self-worth. So that was one of the biggest things when I dropped the whole, like the ego, the big ego. And I'm not using that strictly in the psychological terms, but I think most of you know what I mean. Yeah, when I dropped that ego, I just became a happy person because I didn't have to live up to this and be some sort of image of something anymore. So drop your ego, have an open mind, listen, and don't be so dogmatic, and if you close yourself off, like if you pick one little group or one little thing or one little way of doing things and you close yourself off from the outside world, you don't hear anything else, you're just hurting yourself. Anyhow, just my 2 cents worth. I usually don't have rambling videos in the middle of the week, but we're rambling a little bit today. Anyhow, I hope you guys like this video. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and hope you're having a good week. Peace.